He'll be looking to direct proceedings, and that's the worst possible start for Western Province.
Well, that ball is still in play then, of course. It eventually over the 10-meter mark, importantly, and then a really basic error as a starting point there. So charge upfield here, and an opportunity then for Western Province. A little bit inside out there was Leonard Delure, and at scrum half is Lyle Miller. A big charge up there from Liam Tattersall. We saw quite a lot of him in that first game from the lock position, looking to carry the ball up as best as he could. No space for Joshua Joubert. And the referee was playing advantage, so he'll come back for the penalty.
Well, the Zambezi Steelers should have taken the scrum that would have been on offer. They decided to play the kickoff that didn't go 10 meters. They then spilled the ball in midfield and have conceded an early penalty within the first minute. That'll give Western Province Invitation an opportunity to pursue the line out.
Well done, let's get there, go, let's go!
That's a very solid kick up towards the 5-meter mark there for Western Province. They've had all the possession in this first 1.5 minutes. The man doing the kicking on that occasion was Mikhail Thrachom. Early short line out called there by Western Province. They've lost it to the Zimbabweans. Chris Duffield was the man coming through, but it's a free kick. And Western Province now with another chance now. Of course, they got those 29 points in the first match, courtesy of a very good second half display by their standards. Always difficult for an invitation team and a whole select group that have not played together before to get used to each other. And they've done really well to get themselves into an attacking position. And they've got numbers to the right of this ruck, but the try has been awarded.
Well, he's snuck over there, has the loose head prop in Ivan Kutsia. They decided to tap and go quickly, did the Western Province Invitation side. And through the pick and go, they've drawn first blood in this fixture against the Zambezi Steelers. And the try is accredited to Ivan Kutsia. Good work around the fringes. They decided to pick and go. The flanker and Bayers came awfully close. And then look at the leg drive from the loose head prop coming in at the moment in Kutsia. Strong, and he just flopped over the line. And he's opened the account for this Western Province side and presented his goal kicker with a relatively simple opportunity to take their tally up to 7.
Relatively, from slap in front. Educated beat from Mikhail Frachom. He's not going to be too bothered with that. But when, as we have a look at that try, and just my question had been, were there two movements there at some point in time? But remember that Ivan Kutsia came in, picked it up from a standing position, and over he went. Gareth, just to also, you know, we've had, this is the 3rd day now, and you as a formal kicking coach as well, the kicking has been at times quite ordinary, but the wind has also been a factor.
Yeah, absolutely. And the one thing about kicking into the wind, where I think a large majority of the teams have struggled, is the fact that they've taken the ball so far back. Of course, with the windy conditions, the closer you go, the better opportunity you have to bisect the uprights.
Well, here again is some good refereeing, just looking for the advantage to see if it'll be forthcoming for Western Province. Oh, that might have been an offside position where that ball rather was kicked forward there. And Imad Phillips, unfortunately, just not able to get that lanky frame down to pick the ball up.
Well, it was fairly comical at stages there. Looked like it could have been a soccer game between Cape Town City and the Zimbabwe fellas. But ultimately, the ball has been knocked on, and well, here comes the knock on, and it is a scrum feed to the Steelers. And Gonyama needs to take a grip of this game. I know it's only been 4.5 minutes, but he really needs to direct traffic like he did in that second half against Sachs on day 1. He's a decisive runner, is this fellow. He's sturdily built, the man in the number 10 jersey.
Yeah, the man in the scrum half position is Prince Munemo. And he is one of the smaller guys at this tournament. But like most small guys, he's a packet of dynamite.
There you see the fly-fin shot in Ngonyama. See, he's a well-built young fellow.
So the ball played wide. Yeah, that's good play from the Zimbabweans because they've opened up a bit of space a bit wider out. And you can play on. There's no problem with that. The ball did not go forward. So some good efforts there from Alan Mawandi. And then the little knock-on. And knock-ons as well, you know, seem to have also been quite prevalent when you don't want them to be there.
Well, the eternal free runners are the Zambezi Steelers that meant to burn on the outside. They just needed to run it inside shoulder. Just here, you thought that the lateral run by the fullback, Hombiro, was untimeous. And then Mwande did well, but then looking to keep the movement flowing, decided to throw a 50-50 pass. And that's yet another knock-on from the Steelers.
Western Province team standing pretty strong in the scrum, but down it went, so they'll have a reset. Actually been a pleasure watching a lot of the scrums in this schoolboy tournament because the number of resets have been a lot less than we see at senior rugby level. Lyle Muller with a put in. That's a great scrum now. Mikael Vrachom at fly half decides to look for the cross kick now. Where does that bounce and how does it bounce? That might have been a knock on.
Well, there we see the handling errors already. 3 in totality in a little over six and a bit minutes. So handling a real concern. Good option from Vrachom. We saw the kick space in behind the Steelers. The bounce was kind, but unfortunately the right winger Darren Santos just couldn't hold on to it.
So Zimbabwe from within the Zambezi Steelers, we've got to call them, of course, that's their name. That's not a bad kick, that. But the bounce ultimately favorable for an opportunity for a counter-attack. Now that's clever play. Yes, Vrachom. And not a good pass from him. So it's a lot of work that's got to be done here by Aneli Madi. He's managed to keep that ball alive. And I think on his side of the field as well. Well, there's another handling error, but that's also not a great pass. So difficult to pick up around your toes.
Not a great pass, but coupled with some good line speed from the Zambezi Steelers. And it is Vrachom this time, the guilty recipient. Well, I always have concerns when I see a lock forward standing in the first receiver position. And the pass was very poor from Imad Phillips.
You need to qualify that by saying he can be there as he's going to carry the ball up, and if he's going to kick or pass it, no. That's good work at the breakdown there by the Steelers. Now they've got a few extra men and some big fellows to carry it up too. Oh, one of the keys is to make sure you don't have knock-ons, that you have some level of continuity. Ngonyama, a very, very useful fly half who can direct the traffic. That's him in possession right now. Still they come to the Zimbabweans. Ronald Midi involved too. There's a lovely little run around there around Tinashe Hombiro.
Well, a massive hit that came in on Urawu. In fact, it was the fullback Hombiro. And they can feel a little bit of grief, can the Zambezi Steelers, to have conceded that knock-on and a turnover of possession. But they're starting to find their straps, are the men from Zimbabwe.
Yeah, those handling errors are a real worry, of course, because you can see just, you know, it just upsets the rhythm of play. Not able to really get things going. Just having a look at this Zimbabwean side too. They've got some big, strong fellows in this team, and I'm sure they've got plenty of pace on the wings too, based on what we saw on the first day that they played. Oh, big work here for Joshua Hubert. Sets it up for Lyle Miller. I think both of these teams are quite desirous of carrying the ball as much as possible. This is the fullback Hombiro. Through the hands, there's a lot of voice coming from the side from the Zimbabwean coaching bench. And now it's a chance for Western Province to look for a counter. And they've kept that ball in field. Well, ultimately, it's moved out. So a bit of seesaw as far as things are concerned. But Gareth, I think a very good point that you made, that the Zambezi Steelers seem to be starting to get some rhythm and some possession as well.
Well, the hands were thrown up in the air by the coaching staff down in front of us when Prince Panema decided to put ball to boot. However, they've managed to bundle this Western Province invitation side out over the sideline, and they'll have a line-out feed.
Well, that one over the top there, and eventually the ball is picked up. Well, it's not picked up. It's terribly scrappy. And also quite difficult refereeing a match where you have these handling errors, but so far, Vickers Snell has done well to just keep things flowing and applying the advantage law as much as possible.
Pretty scrappy, to be fair to both these sides. 6 handling errors, 3 apiece, and some really inept passing and catching from both these sides.
And they can't blame the weather. The playing conditions are absolutely perfect here. Beautiful field, the Makota field here at Polrus Gymnasium. And if you've tuned in from an international perspective, the World Schools Festival that is at the moment underway down here in Stellenbosch near Cape Town in the southwestern Cape of South Africa. And it's an international tournament with 10 local teams from South Africa plus another 10 from various parts of the globe, including New Zealand and Italy and America and England. So it's a wonderful opportunity for these young men to be able to play against individuals that they would not normally play against. Nice running there from Chris Duffield for the Zambezi Steelers. And now this time a penalty. So Western Province started pretty well, Gareth, and they at the moment can't really get their hands on the ball, but they're giving away just basic penalties.
And it was playing the ball on the ground initially by the open side flanker Michael Bears that conceded the initial penalty. They progressed it to with slap bang in front from about 30 meters out, and it'll be the fullback via Hombiro's boot who will look to pull 3 points back for the Zambezi side. Of course, many forget that Zimbabwe participated in the 1991 Rugby World Cup, it seems ages ago, Gav. But they certainly produced a fair number of attacking players. One thinks of Tondera Shavanga, who ran out in the national colours of South Africa. Beestam Tarariura, who equals Adrian Strauss's record in Super Rugby this weekend. 156 games as Hombiro has struck it between the uprights. And the Steelers are back in the game and trail this Western Province invitation side by 7.23.
Joshua Africa coming on at scrum half for Lyle Miller in the Western Province team. Just going back to Zimbabwe too, you know, of course they also played in the Cricket World Cup. In fact, a couple, I think, and beat Australia. Duncan Fletcher's side some years back. The year just escapes me right now, but having said that, you know.
1999, Neil Johnson, Edo Branders, Alistair Campbell.
Some wonderful players. So I think Heath Streak's another one who in fact coached the Zimbabwean team up until recently. So here's going to be another try, and the Zambezi Steelers are going to be absolutely livid because it was just so sloppy there. The ball kicked through, and Brayton Marie eventually able to get over for the second try for the Western Province Invitation 15.
Well, the cardinal sin committed by the Steelers, a poor pass by Ngonyama. They stopped playing, did Patrick Chivanga, and towed ahead by Maria, and he's got in for try number 2. And having scored those 3 points, got themselves back into the contest. They had a poor exit strategy, as we see a replacement coming on for the Steelers. It is the man in the number 18 jersey, Porches, who replaces Murufu. And it'll be Frachem who'll be looking to